Everybody knows Disney movies, and most of their classics are very well known and very well loved. But there is a good handful of Disney films that most people have either never heard of, or was deemed as bad at the time by critics, but have really grown in audience. You know, there's a million reasons why films can go overlooked, and today I'm showing the light onto 5 of my personal favorite underrated Disney movies. Starting off the list in no particular order, we have the oldest movie by far on this list, and that is The Reluctant Dragon. So yeah, don't let the title of the movie and this artwork on Disney Plus fool you. This is not really an animated movie. There is animation in it. This instead is actually a look at how animation is made. From character design, to the actual process of animation, to character voices, to music recording, to sound effects, you name it, you get to learn how that happens, especially back in the 40s. This is a great time capsule as to how movies were made back in the day. I especially love showing this to younger kids to really show like how intense this process could actually be and how time intensive, but with a really fun twist on top. Because there is a lot of fun in The Reluctant Dragon. So the story follows Robert Benchley as he reads the book The Reluctant Dragon. Thinking it would make a really good idea for an animated movie, he drives up to the Walt Disney Studios to talk to Walt and tell him he should make this into a movie. So because apparently their security system just doesn't exist at this point, he was able to just get on the studio lot and basically get a private tour of how everything works, all trying to find Walt Disney to tell him about the story of The Reluctant Dragon. Man, it really makes you wonder how many people actually tried this after this movie came out. It's like, I have an idea for Mr. Disney. You're not getting in, kid. So yeah, it's obviously not the most realistic in terms of security, but who cares? It's a really fun story, and you'll learn a lot. And yes, if you looked at the title and you saw the artwork and you really wanted to see this animation about this dragon, it does exist, and it is in the movie. I'm not telling you where you see it, but you do see it. So just watch the movie, find out. I promise it's in there. So yeah, if you've never given this a shot, maybe check it out. Next up on the list, we have Treasure Planet. And honestly, I debated putting it on this list. Not because it's, you know, a bad movie or anything, but just because I question, is it underrated anymore? Like, at one point, it 100% was. But it has gained such a huge cult following, and so many people like run to that if you say underrated Disney movie, Treasure Planet. You know, that and Atlantis and Emperor's New Groove. Like, the three of them, I feel like are almost out of the underrated realm of movies. And with Emperor's New Groove literally having a sequel and a TV show and heavily involved in meme culture, and even Atlantis getting a direct-to-video sequel where Treasure Planet got none, I felt Treasure Planet was allowed to go on the list. And I'm so glad, because y'all, this movie is amazing. If you guys really have not given Treasure Planet a chance, please do. It is so good. It's Treasure Island, but in space. And in my opinion, it's one of the best Treasure Island versions that exists. I know people will live and die by the Muppets version, and the Muppets version is great, but I do not buy the relationship between John Silver and Jim as much as I do in Treasure Planet. And I think that is by far the heart of the entire movie. And I think it is done better here than any other rendition, and I stand by that. Does every element work perfectly? No. I think Ben's kind of annoying. And although Dr. Doppler is fun, I don't think he adds a whole lot to the story. Sometimes it gets a little too cartoony. But for what it is, I think it is a fantastic movie, and everyone needs to at least give it a shot. Next up, we have Fantasia 2000, another movie that almost didn't make this list, but not because I didn't think it was underrated, but because, I feel like I'm only going to defend half of this movie. I feel like half of this movie is really underrated and a beautiful masterpiece, and the other half, you could kind of fast forward through. Like, I'm a giant fan of the first Fantasia. I'd probably say it's one of my top 5 favorite Disney movies, period. And I think some of these did really well at, you know, hearkening back to that original film. Then there were a bunch of other ones that I didn't quite feel lived up to it. And yeah, the celebrities kind of introducing everything for the most part was kind of painful to watch. There was a couple that weren't bad, but when they were bad, oh, they were bad. But if you can make it through all that, there's actually some really great segments that I personally think are fantastic. In particular, I'd say Pines of Rome and the Firebird Suite, I think about these two frequently because I thought they were so well done. Rhapsody in Blue and Carnival of the Animals and Pomp and Circumstance I would also say are really good too. A little less high art on these, but they are so much fun to look at. The fun zany animation, and of course seeing Donald as Noah is always fun, and Eric Goldberg animation in any way I can get it, I'm here for it. So yeah, it feels weird including a movie on the list that I can only really get behind half of, but still, when these hit, I think they hit really well. So at least watch those segments. I think there's something for you to enjoy there. Next up, we have Brother Bear, and this is a movie I don't hear many people talk about at all. Nobody even saying that it's good or bad. I just kind of feel like this movie has gotten shunned to the sidelines and everyone's forgotten about it, which is sad. Is this the best movie Disney's ever made? Not by a dadgum long shot, but I still think it's got more positive elements than negative ones. The story does have a pretty good heart, and I could see some people being really turned off by the way that Phil Collins' music was introduced in this. It kind of feels like Diet Tarzan, and I totally get that. But the music's not really one of the main elements of this movie like it was in Tarzan, so I find it pretty easy to look past. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't see the direction that the story was headed. Although in hindsight, I probably should have seen it, but I didn't. And honestly, when I found out that revelation, it was kind of a little bit of a shock to me, and really made the story a little more poignant. And yeah, this is definitely not the most groundbreaking storytelling ever. It didn't feel like they were really trying to do anything new or different, but it felt like they were trying to do something that felt familiar and fun, but do so in a way that they put their own spin on it. And for what that is, I think it's something to admire, and I think it's actually a pretty good story. Not the best we've seen, but not anything awful either. Definitely check it out if you haven't given it a chance. And the last one, I'm kind of cheating on. This is not even a movie. This one is a series. And it's not even a series that Disney made on their own. It's one they did in collaboration with another studio. But it has movie-level animation and it has Disney's name on it, so I'm counting it. And that is Aaju. Aaju was an animated series that was made for Disney Plus, and it was actually made by a studio called Kugali Media, and they got in touch with Disney. It's actually a really cool story about how they got connected to even make this happen. There's a whole documentary about it on Disney Plus called Aaju: A Day Ahead. And it's a really cool story about this group over in Africa. I believe they're specifically in Nigeria. Their whole premise behind their company is that they really wanted to share African stories and really be able to show their culture in a really fun and unique way. And as an American who's only visited Africa once, I adored this show. I thought it was so good. I really loved seeing the way that their culture was explained. I learned a few things from it, and I just thought the story as a whole was great. I loved this really cool mixture of modern day materials, but also in like a futuristic way. It felt very kind of steampunky, but without being true steampunk. It was a very unique world, and it was just a really interesting story with very interesting and dynamic characters. And I just feel so many people that would have loved this just absolutely missed that it came out or never even heard of it. So to me, that's as underrated as it gets. A great gem of a show that just nobody knows exists. So please go watch Aaju, y'all. It's really good, and I'm hoping we get like a second season or something. I don't know if it's that kind of show. It kind of feels like it's just, you know, one movie that's been split up, but still, even if that's all it is, I still want more people to see it. It's really good and definitely deserves more attention. So that's going to conclude my list for now. I could definitely keep going, and I could probably make another top 5 of underrated Disney films, but for now, that's where we're gonna leave it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments, what are your favorite underrated Disney movies that you either agreed with me on, or maybe there's some you thought I should have included that I left out. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye! And big thank you to all of my Patreons. Without you, this channel wouldn't be what it is today. Thank you so much.